Hey babies, I'm about to make a salmon croquet dinner. I'm not going to bore you with the details of how to make corn on the cob. We all know I buy it from the farmer's market in the summertime at the grocery store. I shuck it at the store and then I bring it home, snap them in half and throw them in the freezer bag and throw them in the freezer. So just take a pot, put some water in it, put some corn on the cob in it, fill the water up past the corn, throw some margarine, some butter in it, and boil it. So we all know how to do that, so I don't want to bore you with that. We all know how to cook rice too, or most of us do. Not everybody, but most of us do. But I got a pot with some water in it. I put some margarine in it. I'm going to boil the water, and then I'm going to use this generic brand rice that I got from the food pantry. Ooh, shoot, it's leaking through the holes, whatever. And it's long grain rice. And then I'll cook all the water out and that'll be done also. So for my salmon croquettes, I use this can of pink salmon that I got from the food pantry. This small can of Arctic Star red salmon that I got from the food pantry. And I opened up the can, drained the juices out of both the cans into a plastic bowl, and I sat up there and I chunked through the pink salmon and the red salmon and pulled all the bones out. Then I put in some diced onions and peppers. We all know when I buy it, and I just did a video recently, whenever I buy something I need peppers for, I'll sit up there that night and dice some up, slice some up, and chunk some up. But I only had 2 peppers, so it ain't gonna do but so much. But I diced these up, and I put them in the refrigerator, in the freezer bag, and then they're always there for me because we all know I love peppers and onions, and we all know that peppers and onions are good for you health-wise because it's a vegetable that's coming out the ground. That's a water plant. So I mix that in with my salmon, and then I put in my spices. We all know that I mix turmeric with black pepper, with onion powder, with garlic powder, a little bit of sazon, because I do like the salt, but I try to stay away from it because I have high blood pressure. And it makes a nice little mixture, and I keep it in my big jar, because you know every time I'm cooking, you see it. So that's what I use for my seasoning, with a little adobo. And I mix that in here with the meat and the peppers. Then I put in a cup of flour, and I used all the juice from the salmon to mix it up so my meat can be wet. And I'm using some baking powder, which is a generic one. I got a big spoon. I don't need the whole big spoon. This is why I'm doing this on video for those of you who don't know how to use baking powder. But the baking powder is what makes it rise. I don't use a lot. I got about this much in there. It doesn't need a whole heaping lot, so I'll put that in there. And I'm going to crack a couple eggs and scramble them together like I'm making scrambled eggs. And I'll put the scrambled egg mixture in here and mix it all up with my meat. And then all I have to do is put in some grease. Luckily, I had some grease that I've been frying potatoes in. And I fried some ocean perch fish in. And I always drain my grease when I'm finished. I might fry tonight, but tomorrow I'm taking that pot, I'm taking my strainer, I'm putting a paper towel or 2 and folding it up, making a nice little square. Well, I got the picker towel, so picker towels 2 equals 1. I fold it in half and fold it in half again like in a quarter, stick it into my handheld strainer, and I take my pot of grease and I pour the grease into another pot. So I strain my grease, and I strain all the bullshit out, and no matter what I cook in my grease, it do not taste fishy. So that's the great thing. So I'm using that grease because it's already seasoned. And then the seasonings with my salmon croquettes. And I'm going to fry them up. And when my meal is done, I'll be back to show you. So I'll see you in a little bit. Toodles!